Hello everybody, just to let you know, we are giving away a Backstreet Gents t-shirt. It's totally free of charge. You've got a chance of winning it. All you have to do first of all is just go to this, the link above, follow the instructions, and that t-shirt could be yours. Good luck. Enjoy the reaction video. Hello everybody and welcome to today's album review. Today we're going to be reviewing Weezer with their latest album, which I think is called Van Weezer, if I'm not mistaken. So let me just share the screen to show you the request. So the request has come in from a familiar name, Scrambled59, for the third time. So he says the album I'd like to request is Van Weezer by Weezer. The reason I've requested this album is for a seasonal reason. It's the beginning of summer, so I feel like the perfect genre of music that fits this time of year is cheesy dad rock. The album was a tribute to Eddie Van Halen, I think, one of frontman Rivers Cuomo's biggest influences. Also, although I consider myself, that's a bit of a tongue twister. Although myself a bit of a Weezer apologist, I am aware that their unabashedly uncool vibes are definitely not for everyone. The track "I More Hit" on the album might prove that to you. Okay, we'll be looking out for that track then. One more hit. Sorry, one more hit. I think it is.
One more hit. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so before we look at the Wikipedia page for this album, we have done a Weezer album before, but it was a long time ago. Brett, in fact, Brett, I think you actually said it was the first one we did. Is that definite?
Yeah. That is, yeah. Once we started doing some album reviews, it was the first one we actually did from our random generator.
Okay, so that was the Blue album, which was their first album. And we're now jumping all the way to their latest album. So from one extreme to the other there, at least in terms of time, in terms of the number of albums. So I don't know how different this is going to be in terms of sound. You would have thought it will be quite different because there's been such a long gap in between. And I haven't listened to it or watched our album review back that we did of that Blue album, but I do remember not being overly complimentary about it. However, back then we used to do our best 10 albums. Like we sort of created like a series, didn't we? But like every 10 albums was like one series. And I remember, I can't remember where I put this album, where I ranked it out of those 10 albums, but it was quite high up. It might have been third, something like that. And I remember saying to you that actually, I've listened to some of this back and actually I quite like it. So yeah, wasn't so complimentary on the album review, but after kind of listening to it again, it actually grew on me. So I actually didn't mind it in the end. And I remember you quite like that album as well. You were quite surprised by it.
Yeah, because I knew very little of Weezer. The couple of songs I did know, I did like, but hadn't heard much. Again, like with a lot of these bands we listen to, not their sort of back catalogue. But yeah, I don't know if I was surprised because I thought I would like it, but maybe I was surprised how much I did actually like it. There was quite a few songs. There's even songs I've taken and put on playlists that I still listen to now that I still really enjoy. And I think so on that one we did the special deluxe, didn't we? So we had some acoustic versions or live versions were quite good as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed that album. So I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing what Weezer are up to more recently, really.
Well, let's have a look and see what this album is about, according to Wikipedia. So released in over a year ago. Okay, just over a year ago in May. So the genre, according to this, is hard rock, alternative rock, arena rock, power pop, glam metal, pop metal, which is different to the genres that were given for the Blue album. Because I did have a quick look a few days ago. I can't remember what the actual genres were. So I'm expecting something different here from this one. Also, it's a very short album. It's only half an hour long. So he talks about working on new songs with a hard rock influence, in contrast to the pop rock and electro pop sounds that you feature on the band's previous albums. So we can expect more of a hard rock influence, which
sorry, because obviously as you said in the comment, obviously dedicated to sort of Van Halen, so who sort of went down that avenue there. So hopefully it'll be a nice sort of twist of it. Hopefully it works quite well and they complement each other. He does it in a good way, and actually you might find that you might enjoy it because it's more of a poppy version of it potentially. But we'll see. We'll absolutely see.
I just realised something. I've just noticed something here which I hadn't noticed before, which would be quite interesting. The album has been compared to their fourth studio album, Maladroit, and is inspired by 1970s and 1980s hard rock and heavy metal bands such as Kiss, Black Sabbath, Metallica, and Van Halen, the last of whom inspired the album's title, as we know. Yeah. And this is what's interesting. Kurumo would also state that the album is blue album-ish, but a little more riffy.
Oh, okay.
So he described it like the Blue album, but just more riffy. So that's interesting. So
we really will have come around full circle, really, to go from that Blue album to this album, it seems.
And as for the songs themselves, as I said, it's only half an hour long, but there's 10 tracks on there. So they're all very short tracks, apart from the first one. And I noticed as well, the writer for this first song, Hero, Daniel Bedingfield. There's a name from the past. Remember him?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you very quickly. So after he had his couple of hits, he actually went more into songwriting for a number of people. So he's probably had quite a few hits you wouldn't even know, but he's been part of the writing team. He sort of took over that thing and just focused on the writing side of things. But yeah, what a blast. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Nothing much more to say, really, I guess. I mean, any final comments, Brett, before we go off and listen to it?
No, obviously, I've just also seen like other companies like Ozzy Osbourne has appeared on there. So I don't those other bands that this has been influenced by. Again, I don't know their records long enough. So whether some of these are copies or there's songs from that there, but I think it's going to hopefully have a nice little twist here and be quite interesting to see. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it as well. Perhaps not overly expecting to. Sorry.
Nope.
Perhaps not. Overly expecting to like it too much because it could be a little bit hard for. Oh, bloody camera. So
well, if this has made the outtakes, then.
Oh dear. No, too lazy to cut this out. Right. To stick up with it, guys, I'm afraid. So yeah, that's it from us. We'll be back with you guys in a few seconds. Hopefully I'll have sorted out my camera by then as well. Because for us it's going to be probably about a week before we continue recording. So plenty of time to sort the camera out. Okay.
So we've now listened to Van Weezer by Weezer. And I think I've sorted my camera out now. It's not going to fall down this time. My cat's sleeping somewhere else, so no disturbances, hopefully. Brett, I usually ask you first, so I think we'll keep it the same.
Keep that tradition, okay.
Yeah, how did you find Van Weezer?
Yeah, I'm not sure on this one. So obviously, as we said before in our preview, we obviously listened to one of their albums already, one of their early albums, which we ended up both really enjoying. With this one, it's strange. I didn't find anything wrong with it. I thought it was all right. There's a couple of songs I did like in it, but whether the fact it was, I know normally we quite like the fact there's a short album and short tracks. I know this one just seemed to just go past me very, like, in non sort of, again, the songs weren't memorable and stuff. They were, like I said, okay to listen to, but it didn't have sort of a lasting effect on it. It felt like, to me, it felt like an album where not that it was a rushed album. It was sort of like they wanted to do this as a tribute thing and just sort of did it quite quickly. I'm not sure. Like I said, I didn't hate it. I did enjoy it. Didn't love it. Um, there was slight variation to the songs and to the album, but otherwise, a lot of it was very much the same. Again, it might be better when we go through the tracks. Not that I've got a lot to write on about a lot of the tracks. I just thought it was a really just sort of good average album, maybe slightly above average. Like I said, it would be a bit harsh to just say average or below average. Maybe I'll go slightly above, but overall, I did much prefer the first album of theirs that we listened to.
Sounds like a bit of a contradiction. A good average album.
As it is an average album, yeah. But it's slightly. That's why I changed it to slightly above average. So it's just on the top half of things. But only because I think it'll be a bit too harsh on it to go below average, because it wasn't like I hated any of the songs or hated the album, but also, like I said, just didn't love it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've got maybe a kind of different perception of it. Not saying that let me go through my notes here. So I made some brief notes. So I think overall there were elements that I liked, but I felt that it was unnecessarily love me here, too rocky, living up to my name, and / too metally as well. So I think the way that the lead singer, I can't remember his name, the way that he sings, like such hard rock, doesn't really fit. Because I really like, his sort of style of singing. But it doesn't really go together, I don't think, the real kind of hard rock stuff. I feel like I could like Weezer. Obviously, they've got a lot of albums. We've only listened to the first one and the last one. So there's a lot in between we haven't listened to. So there are probably albums of his of them that I do like. But I just feel as though this album probably just maybe didn't do them justice. Because again, we can only base it on the Blue album that we listened to, which was a long time ago. But from what I remember of that, even though I didn't overly like it at the time, but as I said, it did grow on me. Actually, I quite liked it. Just felt with this, as I said, there were parts of it that just kind of seemed a bit unnecessarily too hard. So kind of like you, kind of found it quite average, but maybe for different reasons. I don't know. Like mine was more because of the music. Some of the music didn't quite fit, whereas you're looking at it maybe from a different perspective. So maybe all in all, we have the same kind of opinion on it, if that makes sense, though. So the first song then was Hero. Quite like the style of this song. I'd say, again, I didn't mention this in the intro, but with this song, it didn't really have that kind of same geeky feeling as songs on the Blue album. So I think even the guy in the comment section, was he Scrambled 59, is it? He say, I can't remember what it was now. I read it earlier, but that was a few weeks ago. Something about it has that kind of, is it like a, I can't remember what the wording was, but it has this kind of, there's a lot of people that maybe don't like Weezer because of the kind of, I don't know, like the kind of dad style to it or something, did he say? The kind of geeky style to it. But yeah, this song didn't have it. And a lot of the songs in the album also didn't have it. I felt this song sort of had a more kind of serious rock feel to it, but with that original Weezer element still there. So it didn't completely lose it. So I like the original kind of Weezer feel to it, but not so much the rock stuff, the harder rock stuff.
Yeah. So interesting enough. So for the version I was listening to, this is actually track 3 on my one. I've put it down as number 1 because I knew on Wikipedia that's where it should be. And there is a thing on Wikipedia that does say, for some reason, Apple Music, track 1 and track 3, but it doesn't give a reason why. So if anyone does know that, that'd be interesting to know. So this is the 3rd track I listened to. So I think that probably may change, I feel, maybe in terms of opening track. I actually quite like this one. this felt for me the most pop-like. And we know because it was a song that was released, and there was a lot of writers. It's the one that had Daniel Bedingfield in it at times, so there's quite a few writers on this one. Yeah, so this felt more the most pop-like and a bit more Weezer-like, with the elements of some kind of rock bits, but not in comparison to some of the other songs. So yeah, I actually thought this was an all right song. Actually, really quite liked it. And then it wasn't until I looked on Wikipedia and realised this was actually dedicated to like the care workers and people involved with COVID-19. It was released in May 2020. So especially when you hear the title "Hero," lyrics went sort of over there. So all round, an overall good song for me, and definitely one of the better ones for me on the album.
Good. Okay. Well, number 2 then. All the Good Ones. Had a nice start to it. It's not bad. Again, has that more sort of serious rock feel, with the original Weezer element still there, like in the first song. Perhaps a bit too repetitive. All of the good ones are gone. Just kept saying that over and over again. That maybe be the negative from it. But yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, like I'm probably going to say for a lot of these songs, as you said, yeah, it was just an all right song for the right album. Fits in quite well with that one there. This one felt slower than the previous song. Obviously, my previous song would have been what's going to be track 3 we're going to get onto, but it still was the same with the Hero song. It was still a slow version of that. Yeah, it was just nice to listen to. Just found it wasn't memorable. And like I said, for a lot of these tracks, because they seemed shorter, I know it just sort of played on, liked it, listened to it. By the time I sort of got into it, it was already moving on to the next song. So just an okay song for the album.
So next up, we had The End of the Game. Had a rocky start to it, but then moved on to typical Weezer, which I kind of felt was kind of like a trend, which we'll talk more about later with some of the other songs. And I like that part. I do like that kind of what I'm calling typical Weezer. When I say typical Weezer, I'm only basing that off the Blue Album, basically, from what I know of Weezer. And that's the bit I like. I just didn't like so much the kind of harder parts. So yeah, elements of it are okay, but overall, I wasn't overly keen on the song.
Yeah, so as I said, so this was my introduction track that I listened to. So yeah, as you said, you had sort of the rocky start. It almost like electronic rocky start, felt very 80s rock metal, which we know this is an album dedicated to that. And this was a good song in terms of having those. That's why I thought it was a good opening track. The sort of rocky 80s dedication bit, and then having the Weezer elements to it there. And like you, I actually also do prefer the Weezer parts to it. And it's weird, even though Weezer is kind of like a rock band in some regard, but they're like, as we call it, geeky rock.
Geeky rock, yeah.
And it's kind of very different to like heavy metal or hard rock, what they're trying to put tribute to. So I just feel at times it doesn't always quite work. And like as we said, we'll see with other tracks, it is the Weezer elements that I do enjoy. And as you probably said in the intro, that it probably wanted more of that throughout this album to enjoy it more. But yeah, this track was definitely those two elements extremes merged into one song. Okay,
then we had I Need Some of That, and I thought I was listening to Queen, something like that at the beginning. It really felt like that sort of, band before obviously the vocals started. And then suddenly you get the typical Weezer vocal. So there seems to be a common theme. You get some kind of like hard rock kind of start to it. And again, that will be the theme later on as well. And then you just get this kind of, oh, it's okay. It's Weezer. It's like, it just sound like, no, it's okay. Then it goes back to kind of stuff that I'm not so keen on and stuff. Anyway, getting back to this song. Yeah, I like the part, the typical Weezer vocals part. And I thought the song sounds very promising, and I actually quite like this song. And there was a little conversation at the end, and I put best song so far. So yeah, that was quite a good song, because it was a very Weezer type like song, I would say, with this one, whereas some of the others not quite so much.
Yeah, I don't really think I can really add much more to what you said there, really. I also really like this one as well. And I think you're right, sort of had that sort of introduction where it was sort of not experimental, but the rock, or the dedication part, I'd say.
Yeah.
Then most of the song was majority what we're going to call geek rock, Weezer type things. Up here, yeah, really pop indie rock kind of feel to it there. Really nice to listen to. We obviously had the talking, as you said, a bit at the end, and it felt that little bit slow, so it wasn't too fast either. Just it blended really well. Really nice to listen to. Yeah, and this is one that I did like from the album.
Yeah. So next up, we had Beginning of the End. A very Weezer start this time. I thought the instrumentals are more prominent in this one. Has quite a few different elements to it, but not overly keen on it. Perhaps a bit too rocky for me.
This, as I say, I suppose it was a slow sort of kind of start, but probably was like the Weezer kind of thing, and then it sort of builds up into the rocky things. But again, I know also this wasn't the shortest track at all, but again, it felt like by the time sort of got into it already pretty much finished from there, really. So then, quite similar to the second track, just an all right song for the album, really. Didn't hate it whilst listening to it, but also didn't think much more of it.
Then we had Blue Dream. So this one really took me by surprise because it had a heavy metal start. It wasn't even rock anymore. I didn't like it. This was to me more like a proper kind of rock song. Yeah, heavy metal start, but then it went on to kind of just, rock. That's what I've put for this one. Didn't like it.
Yeah, I haven't got a lot either. So this one, I felt this is like sort of the real dedicated song to the genre they're trying to dedicate to, and it felt like it was just that. Wasn't Weezer at all. Purely a dedication song. Again, that's all I've really got to say to on there. Did I like it? No, but again, I love songs. I could say the same thing. Didn't hate it either. I just, like I said, I've just put it as this is the dedication song.
Then we had one more hit. Again, very heavy metal start, like really heavy metal. So okay, what's this? Actually, I thought the song was actually like fine. Like it had the heavy metal instrumentals at the beginning. Then he started singing, and it was like, okay, that this is Weezer. This is what I know. It even had like a pop feel to it, especially like around the chorus area. And then it went back to the sort of random heavy metal instrumentals, which I'm guessing you would say is the what you call it, dedication part. But I thought this was one of the better songs. Actually, it's an interesting mix with the heavy metal and the kind of Weezer bit, and it's felt quite kind of poppy as well. So quite a bit going on here, quite a bit of a mix, but I liked it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about this one at first. I thought it was going to be quite the same as quite the other ones. Basically, I've written here lots of different elements to this one, and even though I said before it did quite well, but this one, I think because they kept quite close to the pop side of things. So how you talk about you've got your pop and then you've got different strands. This kept very close to the pop element. So by the end of it, I actually really quite like this one as well. Again, so it's had that sort of pop rock, even a bit of heavy metal things, but because it's so close to the pop thing, it felt it felt right actually. So like you also quite like this one as well.
Then we had Sheila Can Do It. Really nice start. This sounded kind of like familiar. I couldn't not the actual song itself, but I mean the style. I couldn't put my finger on it. I've ended up just writing down maybe a little bit randomly. Sounds a little bit Beatles-like in parts. Maybe that's not the best comparison, but it was something I was thinking of. Maybe that period of time. Wasn't bad, but it was quite one sort of tempoed. In like say the previous song and a lot of the others where there were lots of changes of stuff going on. This one wasn't like that. So it was okay.
I actually haven't got a lot to say on this one here. This felt kind of the same in terms of an okay track. It did feel a little bit different to the others, but then after listening to it, I was like, well, actually, maybe it's not. It's still great. The only difference was it didn't have the sort of rock dedication bits to it, but also didn't feel overly wheezy like either. Kind of for me felt a little bit sort of out of place, but yeah, I thought it was okay. Again, being such a short song, it just sort of passed me by. Really, not much else to say on it.
So then we had She Needs Me, a nice quiet singing start. So, okay, this is quite nice, but it wasn't quiet anymore. It soon took off. Didn't like the chorus on this one. That's the big thing for me. Thought it had quite a bit of variation with different parts to it, but overall I just found it a little bit too shouty for me. Wasn't really my style of song.
Yeah, again, not a lot to say on this one. It was a slow start, seemed a bit different, something a bit interesting. And I thought, oh, okay, if it stays like this, be all right. But then it does go quite rocky, which is not the worst thing in the world, but I think just because it would be nice to have something completely different on the album. So yeah, it builds up, goes to the rocky bit, kind of a bit Weezer-like, but again, not overly memorable. And like I said, because it felt like a short song, it just came and gone.
Okay, Precious Metal Girl was the last song. So nice acoustic start. And that was the way it continued. It was just a nice and simple song, nice acoustic, good lyrics that I was able to follow, which isn't always the case with songs, even for an acoustic. And what I liked about it as well, for an acoustic song, it was actually quite head boppy. I was really kind of bopping along to it. And yeah, quite possibly the best song on the album. Or if not the best, certainly right up there. Either maybe it's best or second best. So yeah, good end to the album. I like it when an album kind of finishes like that, a nice kind of, quiet sort of soothing ending kind of thing, rather than just continuing on with the same kind of thing. So yeah, nice ending.
Yeah, the exact same thing. Nice song, nice ending for the album. Acoustic vibe to it. Again, felt really, really good. Again, like you, really like this one. Up there's one of my favourites, I think, with potentially, well, I don't know, I think all the ones that I have liked,
yeah.
I think they're all on par, really. I don't think one stands out more than, which pretty sums up the album, really. But yeah, this was a little bit different, nice acoustic sound, and I'm really glad they sort of ended the album on that. So it did end the album on a bit of a high, so it's probably why I then slightly put it slightly above average, in my opinion, probably hopefully on based on that sort of last song, really.
Okay, so just briefly, how would you sum up the album?
Yeah, so like I said, for me, just above average. It was an all right one to listen to. Like I said, it wasn't anything I really hated from it. It was easy and enjoyable to listen to. And I said there were a few songs that did stand out. Even though I said they weren't memorable, they did stand out a sense of liking them. But I said even those ones I liked, they were all on par, really. So I put I've got about 4 of them that I liked. So just under half the album. And that pretty much sums it up. As I said before, I know I've only listened to the 2 albums, but I do prefer the original Weezer Blue album over this one. But I do get this as well in terms of being a dedicated album as well. So it still doesn't put me off Weezer. I still would like to hear some of their other back catalogue as well and see what that's like.
I think for me, if I didn't know anything about Weezer at all, and it was just an album from a random group, I'd probably say, you know what? Yeah, it wasn't bad. Probably like you, maybe about above average. But I don't know, because it's Weezer and we have heard them before, and I think I do generally kind of quite like the sort of geeky rock thing. So probably based on that, probably say just below average for me, if that makes sense. Because like I say, I think I could get into Weezer, but just not with this album. It's just a little bit maybe too experimental, maybe. I don't know. Or yeah, I prefer the kind of the full on geeky rock stuff rather than mixed in with all this harder stuff. Doesn't quite do it for me. So that's how I would sum it up. But okay, I think that's it from us. So thank you for the request. And yeah, next week we have next week in 2 weeks, we have another album for you. We already have set up, ready to go. Well, not ready to go. We have to record it now, but I mean, we know what it is basically. So it'll be an interesting one. So make sure you watch it and keep the requests coming, guys. And we'll see you again soon for the next one in 2 weeks and reactions videos as well. Bye-bye.